Little motherfucker gonna try to rob me. Well, I'm gonna show you how we do it up here in Benton. Look, I wasn't trying to rob. Shut up! Before I bust a cap up in you. Now who sent you? No.
Source up, we standing tall in your short stuff.
Yes.
Our lunch is the bullshit that you dressed up. Address us on scholarship, homie, knowing you're messed up. So fessed up, you look for the best, knowing that that's us. Source up, we standing tall in your short stuff.
Yes.
Our lunch is the bullshit that you dressed up. Address us on scholarship, homie, knowing you're messed up. So fessed up, you look for the best, knowing that that's us. Sword clown, know that it's over like it's the fourth down. We the source now. Hear a big bang with tanks on ground. More than a scrimmage, yeah, we forcing the sin, and yeah, we pushing no limit. Leave the fight with no blemish. You the hometown, but you not receiving no privilege. We gon' do you bad, rape, rob, and pillage. But we nothing like the white man. I can see that you a big fan. Every time we go live, I see you in the damn stands. Watching and plotting, I see that you stalking a bit.
Yes.
You laughing at people, they seeing you taking
Here's
a
the
bit.
definition of plagiarism. The practice of taking someone else's work and continuously passing them off as
Crazy
one's
ass nigga, we the source. Yeah, we cite source. Spitting hot flames more hotter than hot sauce. Chummy ass nigga.
Biblical topic. So I was trying to figure out your lens. That's why I first said I wasn't coming off condescending, because I wasn't sure why you were putting X's up, right? And I didn't automatically make an opinion. But when you said now you're learning, now I can get understanding of how to rotate a conversation with you if you come off the mic, right? So I was just utilizing as a point to show, you know, we have hypothetical arguments, right? And I felt like Garfield just made a claim to say Sesostris was made up, right? And to show that there is evidence in scholarship that I read from first century that say Sesostris is the epithet of the Greeks concerning Shishak. Now you have to defend what you're saying now, because I just proved it, right? So when I'm coming off the mic to defend the tribes, I'm not gonna say I know everything, but we gotta make sense to certain arguments. That's why I'm challenging Garfield. You may hear us go back and forth. You can't just coin the term Jew to say, see, these are not Israelites. And when the brother Flavor, when he kicked Flavor down, I thought that was unfair. And all of a sudden he disappeared from the room. When Flavor brought out information, right, and he mentioned the Colchis, the reason why I'm coming off the mic is to edify the room and edify the panel, that you can't just see the term Jew and be like, these are Israelites, these aren't. Because when you go back to the Colchis, they descend from Calcol of Zerah in ancient history, which predates the term Jew. So we got to be fair to the migration patterns of the Israelites. So that's all my point is to Garfield, is to say, okay, he asked me a question earlier on in the day. He said, why do you study other topics that go against what you said? I said, yeah, because I'm defending what I know. So I have to know what they're saying, because I'm defending what I know about myself being an Israelite. So that's all. It may sound far-fetched to other people, but I have research history.
Salakia family, 1 second. One second, family.
To show who we are according to history and prove the Bible to be emphatically true. That's why I stand. Garfield may call it faith. You may call it something else. But where I'm standing on today, if I'm a mod up on the stage, I'm defending what is being questioned today, right? So that's why I came off the mic and said earlier, you know, we have to make things make sense, right? So if we're going to have a conversation, right, if you're hearing us going back and forth, I'm just challenging those who are challenging me. So don't look at it as, we're at each other's throats. That's the topic of the day, right? Some people wear this as a lifestyle. So that's just me, though.
Right.
Hey, before you go,
Well, hold on, because I know you about to go to what he said, but I'm gonna clear up what I'm saying, because like I say, I'm still learning. I just want it to be understood. I don't really see it as you all going back and forth at each other's throat. My thing is, if you have something, I want to hear what you have to say, Pana. I want to hear what Garfield has to say. I can't hear what Pana has to say, and I can't hear what Garfield has to say when they're talking over each other.
Facts.
That's all I'm saying. So I just want, and again, last thing, when I put up the X's, for those who see my X's is because I can't hear your six.
Yeah, hold on, Vel. Hold on, Vel. Hold on 1 second.
Yeah, calm
Yeah,
down.
let us not be rude.
Yeah, that's
Let
all.
me get a word in here.
Just thanks.
Mr. Anu, I believe, let me look, because I'm gonna have my glasses. Anuki. First of all, is your name Egyptian?
Yes, good thanks.
Oh, wonderful. I've been studying that aspect. There's a huge correlation with the Israelites in Egypt that people don't know about. But anyway, I'm learning, so I noticed your name. Second of all, I confirm everything he says because I can't understand y'all when y'all were speaking over each other. And he just came off mic and said what I was intending to say in the first place. Babyface knows me perfectly. I would have said the same thing. Third of all, I'm allowed to sit on the stage and I don't give my position because yet I'm still learning too in old age. So I don't think we should attack people just because they say, I don't have a position. I'm here to learn. Well, what are you doing on the stage? Well, I'm sitting on the stage. And if somebody asks me my position, they're liable to get told off. So if we are here to teach, quote, our people, then y'all should make sure that everyone can hear you. All right, I'm done.
All right. Thank you for that, Mama Steph, for the wisdom as usual. I want to say this to Brother Panal, right? I never said Colchians never existed. I don't know if you realize it, but you actually said that a while ago. I never said that. I've never said that one time. I don't know what's going on with people who follow this Israelite faith. They always have a hearing problem for some reason. And I'm generalizing on purpose. You said that Shishak is who Sesostris is. That is not absolutely true. What happened is Eusebius and others after the 4th century, you said somebody in the 1st century agrees with you. What they might talk about is the Colchians in the 1st century. But Eusebius is the one that said that Sesostris, who is Sennacherib III, according to Manetha's King's List, he's saying he's the guy from the Middle Kingdom, Sennacherib I and Sennacherib III combined. Now, later on in the 4th century is when somebody said Shishak and Sesostris is the same person. It can't be true. It can't be one person on Manetha's list who is in the Middle Kingdom, which is 12th century BC, and then saying he's Shishak at the same time. That's impossible. So what happened is the names possibly sound familiar. So that's when people start repeating it, and later on. But nobody's saying Shishak is Sesostris. Nobody's teaching that. This is just something that Eusebius said in the 4th century, and people repeated it. But as far as who is classified as, is the guy from the 12th kingdom, Sennacherib, a similar sounding name, the 1st and the 3rd. They feel that his career or his livelihood or what he achieved is what Herodotus combined and while he was telling that story. But at the end of the day, Sesostris, no Egyptian has ever, there's no, unless somebody could point it out to me, I don't know if Aniki has that information, or I don't know if what's his name is here, the other Egyptian guy. But there's no records of Egyptians going that far and leaving steles and leaving people there and all that stuff. It's not documented within the culture. So the story, as I said earlier, was him trying to show the Persians that Egyptians are better or have done more than what they have done. It was like a competition. So that's why that story is important. But no one feels Herodotus, if you read Herodotus' story, he's called the father of history, but he's also called the father of lies because people thought that he made up a lot of shit. He would say he's in a town at a certain time period when he wasn't there. So Herodotus have a history of making stuff up or copying other people's work and act like he did it. There's no records of him going in the Colchian area. So even if he does have a Colchian story, it would be 2nd and 3rd hand. I'm saying because he says dark skin, and another thing, Mama Steph, that's important in this is that, he claimed about circumcision with Colchians. So when they hear that, they jump out the window. I yield.
Yeah, so this is why we have to have these little small proxy arguments between the moderation. We gotta let y'all talk because Garfield misrepresents what people say to hide what he said when he's proven wrong. And there's nothing wrong with me coming against that. That's the purpose of the room, right? I did not say he said that the Colchians never existed. He made, right, a claim, right, that what was written concerning the Colchis, which further proves my point, right, that the stele never existed. He needs actual tangible evidence of these things, right? So he mentions Sesostris. And this was the point. And when I brought up Tacitus, about the second time I'm gonna keep saying this, he brought up Tacitus, and I was talking about the traditions of particular people groups from the Colchis and the Dardanians, which you read as descendants in the Book of Chronicles that came from the Judite nation of Zerah, which the European Isles and nation and continent is very familiar with. So is history. So the Greek epithet, and I coined Cadmus, him being a quote-unquote Phoenician who was one of the founders of the script, right, that we read today in those languages in Greek and things of that nature. You go into Phoenician history, Sesostris is an epithet of Shishak to the Greeks, right? So now you can't say that he never existed off of that. And he said, oh, there were 3 kings. I said, what dynasty was Shishak? Right? So that's what I said before, you got to connect the dots. You can't just term who a large tribe is off the name Ephraim, right? Or off the name Jew, right? Only there's multiple nations within the Israelite tribes, right? And how do we coin and how do we trace these descendants? Through much of the names like Colchis. So you study the Colchis. What is the tradition of them? So when you go into Tacitus, much of the Roman tradition or the Greek tradition was that the Israelites are exiles from Egypt. Then Garfield challenged me on that. And he was saying how they were coming from Crete. But I said, why did Tacitus mention Moses, who mentioned Harusolomai, who was an epithet to the Romans, who is Moses? So I'm saying you're getting tripped up on epithet, and you're making these claims as if you cannot be telling the truth, Panah, because that never existed. And I just showed you Eusebius's teachings, and when you go into the works of Sanconianthon, which I showed you, right? He's a Phoenician historian that is praised by much of the Phoenician people because he held up a lot of the traditions, a lot of the religions that they were following in Phoenicia or the land of Israel, etc. in that time, right? So I was making connections to these epithets, Garfield. And it's okay to disagree. I'm just showing you can't just make a claim like that, right? That didn't exist. I need tangible evidence, right? So that's all I'm saying, brother. We're chopping it up. People who debate with words, like battle rappers, they always hold them to their word. So you tried to hold them to my word. I never said, hold on. I never said you said anything of what you just said. I never said that. So now.
Can I ask you one question while you're ranting? Who is Sesostris?
Brother, I said in the Greek epithet, Sesostris is Shishak to many of the.
Who said that? Who told you that?
Eusebius in the writings of Sanconianthon.
Okay, who did Manetho? Manetho have the king's list, right? When is Manetho? When does Manetho exist?
Brother.
No. This is a simple question. When is
I don't even hold on. I don't even want to, brother. I'm at work. You know that. I'm pulled over.
This is
I don't want to go down another rabbit hole. It's not. No, Garfield. I don't. Garfield. I literally have a customer in front of me.
I don't mind saying, hey, I am incorrect. I don't mind saying I'm wrong. I'm trying to tell you that Sesostris.
So then,
the guy, hold on. Listen to what I'm saying carefully.
I'm listening. I can't talk right now.
Bro, just listen. Sesostris in Manetho's king's list is Sennacherib from the Middle Kingdom. He documents that. So him being Shishak can't be correct. It can't be right, bro.
Brother, you don't understand what an epithet is.
Of the king's list. You see, look at this now. Look at
brother,
this.
Brother, that's you don't understand what I'm saying, brother. You don't understand.
I do. You can't.
Okay, so when brother, listen to what I'm saying, brother. The Phoenician culture deified particulars in particular epithets. That's why you read Mordecai in the book of Esther.
Bro,
His
that
name,
ain't got nothing to
wait,
do with
hold
Sennacherib.
on, man. I'm trying to teach a point. Just let me finish so we could leave this point.
Admit that you're wrong. That's all this is about.
No, I'm not, bro.
That's
bro.
all it's about.
Okay, Garfield, now you make it. Now Garfield is the one making the money, y'all. I'm done. Because Garfield, you don't want to listen. You don't understand epithet.
For those who don't understand the conversation, Herodotus mentions Sesostris. I'm telling you that the story that he makes up about the Colchians is a lie. How is it a lie? We go to material evidence. We go to the Egyptian records of the actual king he's talking about. Those records don't exist. There's no writing saying that they destroyed here and left stele. They're the most well-documented culture in the 2nd millennium BC, in the 3rd millennium BC. So they don't have no records of this guy doing anything like that. What they did was, when you look at Manetho runs out the whole king's list. Not saying his king's list is perfect, but he says who Sesostris is. He says it. And this is 3rd century BC, before Eusebius made it up and said, hey, Sesostris may be connected to Shishak. He's saying that. He don't know. You go to the person who writes, hold on.
Garfield.
You go to somebody who writes the Egyptian records. That's Manetho. He has king's list. Why wouldn't he be number one preference as a source over Eusebius? Eusebius is not an Egyptologist. He's not an Egyptian king's list specialist. Manetho
because they're studying somebody from the 13th century BC, Garfield.
He's not the 13th century BC.
You're still not listening. You're still not listening. The writings of Eusebius are a compilation of historians that studied a top Phoenician historian by the name of Sanconianthen. I said that. So the epithets that you're reading concerning Sesostris, concerning Jupiter, concerning Saturn, are deifications of particular people which they call demiurges in the ancient Phoenician and Egypt and Greek world. But you're just saying, oh, that can't be. That is an epithet, just like Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar, protector of Nebo. It's an epithet, just like when Tacitus called Moses Hiru Solomai. The reason why they called him Hiru Solomai because the Egyptians worship too. Horus.
Are you done?
I'm done. I don't want to talk no more because you're not understanding that point.
For those who want to learn and be honest and truthful, Sesostris is the Greek form of Sennacherib. That's the name of a pharaoh in Egypt. Again, let me repeat.
Shishak was.
Bro. I make you talk. Again, Shishak is a Hebrew for Shishak, who was a king from Egypt in the 10th century BC, during the time of after Solomon. We're not talking about Shishak. Eusebius is the one that said that. Maybe what scholars write, they said the words sound alike. Shishak and Sesostris sounded alike. Maybe that's what it is. My brother, Sesostris is the Greek form of Sennacherib. Sennacherib is.
But you ain't know that before, Garfield. Be honest. Now you looking up just regular Google. Come on, man. I got books.
Pana, relax. Sesostris is the Greek form of Sennacherib. Sennacherib, you had 3 kings with that name, that pharaoh's name, that regnal name. Those 3 kings ruled in the Middle Kingdom. They're saying that the story that Herodotus told has to do with Sennacherib the first and Sennacherib the third, mixed with some other narratives that he heard. All right. Now, as far as him going up to the Baltic region, no Egyptian king is on record doing that. All right. Now, if you have evidence of them going up there, point to it. Herodotus saying it cannot be that.
Sesostris is an epithet.
Yirmeyah.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's what that means. The brother. What did he have to say that for? Correct him.
Correct.
So go ahead, Yirmeyah.
Yeah, man. So a lot of this denial is just based upon on ignorance, man. Yoshi, let me ask you a question.
What's up, Yirmeyah?
Are you familiar with the Doron invasion of Greece?
The Doron invasion of Greece? No, I'm not.
Right, correct. do you believe that white people originated in Europe?
I believe that they originated in Europe.
Yes, sir.
From what I understand, I think that
Okay, you're wrong, right? Okay, yeah, you're wrong, right? And this is a problem. This is a problem for they came out of the so-called Middle East.
the white people. Okay, if you say
Yes.
so.
Yes. Yeah, and we got history to substantiate that, bro. Right? So that's a serious problem. Why? People don't realize that there was the Herodian dynasty. The Herodian dynasty under Herod and his family infiltrated the Sanhedrin, right? And these people were converted and they lived as Jews. This word Jew is a code word, right? Jewish people, for them calling themselves Jewish, right? For the brother that was talking about, he believed the real Jews are the small hat people today. You are extremely deceived, my brother, right? Because you are not familiar with the conversion, right? So what people don't realize is that when you go into the history and you look at history and you find Jewish people in Europe and you're saying, yeah, these people were Jews here in Europe, like you was talking about the languages, Yoshi, earlier, right? And you mentioned France and you mentioned Germany and you mentioned Italy, right? You mentioned all these things, but what you fail to mention is that the reason that these languages got prominent in those areas was the migration of Jews in Europe were predominantly from the Herodian family, right? These people were given a pass by Rome. Why? Because they were in bed with Rome from the beginning. Why? Because they are the same people. See? And when you go into the history and you find out about the conversion of the people of Khazaria, which a lot of y'all don't like to talk about, right? And we have the history showing from a historian by the name of Ivan Fedorlin, right? Who talks about, who was an eyewitness, primary witness, right? A primary source concerning this particular conversion in the 7th century, right? And the migration of these people after being destroyed by Genghis Khan, right, in the 10th century in Khazaria, right? Because the original Khazarians, contrary to popular belief, were black people. Now the problem with the argument that Garfield was having with Panah is that Garfield don't understand that when you are talking about Greece, the original Greeks were not fans of Egypt. The fandom of Egypt came in with the Doron invasion. Hey, Garfield, do you know anything about the Doron invasion?
I don't know anything, bro.
Right. So when you do the history and you read about the Doron invasion, these people came in from the north, came in from Alexander the Great's family, which were Temanites, right? Which are Idumeans, which are Edomites, which migrated into that region, unified the tribes. The Doron invasion came out of Macedonia. They came into Greece. They overthrew the original Greeks, which were a people of color. And so when you do the research on how black people got into Greece, modern scholarship tells you that it was Africans, that because they associate Africa as the only continent with black people, which is ridiculous. Okay? Because the original inhabitants of the earth were melanated. Right? You cannot just simply say that the only black people come from Africa is ridiculous. So if they're making that assertion that, they equate blackness with sub-Saharan. And the reason that the word sub-Saharan exists is because they're trying to deny the blackness of Egypt. Am I right about that, Garfield?
Continue.
So when you deny, when you don't understand that the original Babylonians, right, were Hamites, that destroys the idea of out of Africa theory, that destroys that idea that all people come out of Africa, which the cradle of civilization is the Mesopotamian region. Right?
That's wrong.
Yeah, no, that's right.
Are you
didn't
finished?
know what I was talking about, you didn't have a damn thing to say. Now you want to come off mic all of a sudden.
Your 2 minutes is up, brother.
When was I told I only had 2 minutes for now?
All right, you got 30 more seconds. Let's go.
No. Hey, Panay, I only got 2 minutes to speak.
Get back. Yeah, it is 2 minutes, but you definitely have time to rebut. So all
right. So
that was my bad. Yeah.
All right. So Garfield, if you want to speak so badly,
if I want to speak so badly,
yeah,
bro, finish your point, bro.
Hey, Garfield, you
let
ain't
him
the
know
book.
you at work.
I'm the goddamn book. What the hell's wrong with you? All right, you ain't the book. Hebrew Israel, hey, Garfield, you
let
ain't
him
the
know
bully.
you at
I'm
work.
the goddamn bully. What the hell's wrong with you? All right? You ain't the bully, Garfield. Ain't nobody afraid of you, brother. Understand this. We know our history, man.
We?
All right?
Who's the we?
Hebrew Israelites, which is what I represent. All right? Understand this.
All right, cool. All right. Let me, anybody wants to respond to what the brother said before I respond?
Yeah, I would.
Okay.
I would.
I'll go after you, Yoshi. Go ahead.
I got something to say right after that too, real quick.
Who's that? Who's that?
Shayal.
Okay. Peace, bro.
Blessings, dear ones.
So when I was going through the list of Judeo languages, I think I touched on at least 4 or maybe 5 that would be associated with Jews in the diaspora of Europe. I think the rest of them was like the Middle East, the Near East, and so forth, and Asia and Africa. So I did, and then Germany. Oh yeah, Germany, Yiddish. So yeah, I did mention Germany. So because Yiddish by default. So which wasn't like limited to German, but yeah, I did mention Yiddish. Other than that, I didn't specify in Europe. Now, the claim that the Jews that migrated throughout Europe were of the Herodian lineage, I would like to see some information on that. So if you could forward that to me, Yirmeyah, so I can read it, I would appreciate it because I haven't come across that information. But if you could forward that, I would appreciate it. As it pertains to the Khazarians, the Khazars, the best historians, when compared to what's written in the 13th tribe, I don't know of any historians that's like looking at this objectively, know exactly for certain how extensive the conversion was, whether it was just the aristocracy, whether it was the entire kingdom, or somewhere in between. Historians that I have come across, though, do substantiate that there were Jews in those areas before the conversion. But if you have any, again, information on how extensive or how, to what degree this conversion was, whether it was the entire kingdom, whether it was partial, or whether it was just the aristocracy, then please forward that to me also. But that's all I would have to say. About Europe. So I think you were partially correct. When looking at the emergence of the mutation of SLC 24AB, it does originate about 40,000 some. No, not I'm too far back. Okay, about
4,000.
No, between like 20 to 28,000 years, and what is spread throughout Europe, West, and so forth. But about
that
40,
gene, not that gene. No, sir.
No. So about in Europe, it says that it did originate in the Middle East and India's subcontinent before it spread west. So there is some validity to that.
That is correct.
So to trace that to Esau, that's cat. Okay. It's cat for very obvious reasons on the surface. If this genetic mutation is initially emerged in one man, I want y'all to think about this. He was
never said that, brother.
Oh, you never said that?
No.
Okay, so maybe I'm just repeating what others have said. So fair enough, you didn't say that today. But when you attach yourself to this, Esau is the white man, by default, I think of that. But I'm going to take your word that you never said that it originated with Esau, but others do. So since you didn't say it, I don't need to respond to that. But respond to that to you. So I'm not pinning this on you. But for those who do hold this idea that Esau was the first white man among otherwise melanated people, and that this gene was so dominant, okay, instead of being recessive, that it just continued to present itself in greater amounts of frequency until we have entire populations like that. That's a tough sell for me, for one man. That's a tough sell. It's just not how genetics work. These things tend to become, recessive, like red hair and blue eyes. These are recessive traits and so forth, and then readily wiped out amongst more dominant traits. Like
well, then Yoshi, if that's the case, why did it remain prominent?
Let him finish, bro. Relax, bro. We got
you.
you.
Hey, bro, me and him is building, Garfield. Don't do me like that, bro.
I don't mind interjecting questions. If that's the case, what? I tend to go with what the explanation that seems to be backed by evidence, and that is environmental pressures as a result of being in climates when there was less sun intensity over time. And you asked me.
No, I'm just saying, the science has proven that climate is not.
It can, 100% it can.
That's
Evolution, man. Come on, man.
100%. No, don't speak for me. If you turn that W upside down,
when I say we, I don't include you. Okay, use a hammer. All right.
But let me finish my answer. So I align. What did you say?
He said you a hammer.
Hey, guess what though? I'm alive. So that's all that matters. And I'm breathing. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. So you call me what you want, but call me alive, okay? And when I'm dead, it don't matter anyway. So it don't matter when I'm alive, and don't matter when I'm dead. The only thing that matters is whether or not I'm moral and ethical, okay? And I treat other human beings the way I want to be treated. Okay, no problem. All right. So what was I saying? I align myself with the evidence, and that is a result of environmental pressures and response to the environment, that skin lightened over time in response of less direct sunlight for the majority part of the year, so that vitamin D synthesis could be more efficient as a result of not having direct. In like manner, like individuals in darker regions with more intense sunlight have darker skin to shield, and yet when these same individuals, which is studied now, go into northern regions, such as African Americans here, we tend to be deficient in vitamin D, okay, because of the clothes we wear and because of our dark skin. We're not exposed enough to the sunlight. And this became very pronounced during COVID. And so vitamin D is very important. So I tend to line myself with that, Yirmeyah, whether you agree with it or not. I don't agree with that it emerged just spontaneously, and then this gene just was so dominant that it propagated. I go with the environmental stresses over time. That's what I go.
May I, before you go past that, may I ask a question?
Before you go, Sha'al wanted to say something real quick, brother. Sha'al, you there, brother?
Yeah, I'm here. I was just gonna say in response to the claim the brother said that during the Herodian dynasty, Herod and them was at league was pretty much in league with Rome because they were pretty much the same people. And he went into explanation of the Ptolemaic dynasty and the power and influence they had in Egypt and all that. That's not why they were in league with Rome, according to the context. The reason that they were in league with Rome because it was a renewed contract and league that they had with Rome during the Hasmonean dynasty, which had occurred way during the time of Judas Maccabees, and that was the initial initiation of that league, which were also renewed twice, once by Jonathan and then Simon after, and that league continued throughout that duration. It had nothing to do with people, skin color, or race. Why they were in league with Rome. That's all I wanted to say.
Hey,
You
brother,
can read the information during the Maccabees, which is a lot of Hebrew Israelites don't have a lot of depth. I'm not saying this brother don't, but a lot of Hebrew Israelites are not really good when it comes to the Maccabees, but when it comes, but only during the stories when they deal with the sacrifices that they made for keeping their laws. That was it. But that's all I wanted to say about that.
Yeah, let me say this real quickly. Megatron, you want to say something real quick, or you want me to go?
Go ahead. And what that brother said, 5 seconds, what that brother just said, I made mention of, right? I don't know why he tried to say, oh, I only was talking about the first century when I made mention of the conversion that happened during the Maccabean period.
All right. Let me just respond to something you said. You said something about the Khazarian theory, right? You said a lot, but let me just respond to that. A lot of brothers like to read about the 13th tribe and all these books that scholarship has refuted and debunked, but nobody has really refuted what the brother.
Garfield, I never made mention of the 13th tribe. Megatron. I'm just saying I don't want you to go on a tangent on a false premise. I never mentioned the 13th tribe. I said I've been
Megatron. Just stop trying to bully on stage and let's have a conversation, bro. Let me respond. Correct me when it's your turn to speak. Correct me. All right. Don't interrupt. Just correct me. All right. The whole thing about the Khazarian conversion. You mentioned the Khazar conversion. Am I correct?
Yes, but I never mentioned the 13th tribe.
Okay. The Khazar conversion, right? What happened is, ladies and gentlemen that's listening, is that Jewish community, this is what the brother Yoshi was trying to say. They already existed in Europe, Italy, France, Spain, Rhineland, since the Roman period, between the 1st and the 5th centuries. And I'll go back to even the 2nd century BC, when they found grave sites, which is actual evidence of a culture, because you find Hebrew writings on grave sites. So there was a community there. Remember when I asked earlier about a Jewish community in West Africa, and I asked for before 1492, we're asking about actual evidence. So evidence is important here. So Jews already lived in Europe, and the communities that you're claiming these people converted from, they already existed, so they didn't need to convert. They already lived there. These communities come from the Mediterranean region, not the steppe nomads. The steppe nomad is a total different thing. Now, as far as the woman that they sleep with, that's a whole nother conversation, because you could find records in S.E. Goldstein's book about medieval travelers and study different manuscripts that documents where Jews were traveling and riding back to Babylon and asking for permission for certain things, collecting money to give back to Babylon. And you will see that these communities, these guys were divorcing their wives through long distance, and they were sleeping with women in these cultures. Some of these cultures, the women may have been light-skinned. They may have been lighter than the average dark-skinned person. So that's how a lot of these people ended up being light-skinned. But it has nothing to do with, per se, the people coming from certain areas, the Khazars, this and da-da-da-da. All right? Jewish inscriptions, cemeteries, synagogues in Europe and the Near East date centuries earlier than the Khazar conversion. No evidence of a massive migration from Khazaria into Central Eastern Europe. One thing I'll say, right, when we talk about white folks, in Scotland, I think, or Ireland, there's this person that they found, and they determined that the person was a dark-skinned person in Scotland. I don't think anybody on stage disagrees that primarily the people that lived in the world at a certain time period, like 8, 9,000, 10,000 years ago, was pretty much dark skin. The light skin gene is an allele or a gene that developed in a short time period, not too long ago, probably 8,000 years ago. And it may have been people who left from the Middle East or what's up. So I want to just say to the brother, as far as light-skinned people, from the Iranian era, we had blue-eyed people who migrated into the Levant from like around 5,000 BC. If you want me to put that Nature article in the chat, I could put it in for you. So this whole thing about light skin and Dorians or whatever, I don't know what skin color the Dorians were. And back then I didn't really deal with race. So I would say if the Dorian invasion, which happened probably like around, I think you're talking about 1300 BC, right? If I'm correct, if I'm incorrect, you could correct me. So you're saying that the original Greeks were dark-skinned people. I don't know if anybody disagrees that the people in the region were dark-skinned or lighter, a little bit lighter or whatever. I mean, nobody's disputing that. But I think what happened is you guys act like all black people are related, and then you refer to out of Africa theory. You're gonna come on this app. I'm not a scientist. You're not a scientist. Scientists have done the work. The oldest bones that they found of male and females are from Africa. Oldest people with the oldest genetic markers are found in Africa. A00 that was found here in America. They found A00 that goes back to 13,000 years ago, a body that they found in Cameroon, in Africa. So I'm trying to figure out what is this gripe with people, the first human beings that we have on record now. It could change if you found a sample that's older in the Middle Eastern era, but right now on record, the out of Africa theory stands. So I don't know where you're getting this out of Africa theory, this anger towards Africa. I guess because you want to call Africans Hamites, which they are not. That's just a part of your theological makeup. But I would like to know, for one thing, the Khazar stuff, there were already communities before they were Khazars in those same areas. The out of Africa theory has been proven over and over for the last 50 to 100 years. The other point you made about the Roman stuff with Herod, I don't know why you're trying to correlate all so-called white folks with other white folks, like all white folks in the scene. Just like all black folks, we're not the same. We have different culture. There's dark-skinned people in the Americas that's different than dark-skinned people that's in Africa. We're not all the same. So this color politics that you're playing right now to try to say white versus black or black versus white, I don't get it. But I yield at this point. I made my 3 points.
Yeah, that's because you don't know a damn thing, Garfield.
Facts.
That's the problem. That's the problem. But yet you come on here, you assert your authority as if you are an authoritative person.
No, not. I'm not. Let me mute
right?
up. I'm not. Hell no, I'm not.
Hey, bro. You asked me not to interrupt you. You sit there and take these insults, okay? Now.
Go forward to history you brought out, not insult. Bad, man. Y'all sad.
Right. So, again.
We have old ladies on the stage. Can we please limit the insults? Lord Megatron. And Master Salute, I haven't seen you in quite some time. How have you been faring?
All is well. I appreciate it. I know you missed me.
Now,
when we're dealing when we're dealing with the history of the invasion of the Doran invasion, which Garfield don't know nothing about, it says here, the term Doran invasion refers to the hypothesis migration and invasion into ancient Greece by the Dorans, a Greek-speaking people during the late Bronze Age or an early Iron Age around 1200 to 1100 BCE. This event links by many theories that encapsulates the Macedonian civilization and the state of the Greek Dark Age. Why is it called Dark Age? That's very interesting, right? The Dorans was one of the 4 major Greek ethnic groups believed to have originated northern Greece, right? This is the Macedonian region, right? This group believed to have origins in northern Greece and both before moving south into the regions such as Pellenius and Crete and Rhodes. Their arrival marked a significant change in language, culture, policies, structure, including the dominance of war and scientific introduction into Slovakia. The Doron presence changed the makeup of Greece society, formerly new city-states such as Sparta, Corinth, and Argos under the Doron leadership. Doron colonies later appeared in places such as southern Italy, Sicily, and other migrations. So we're seeing a migration of these particular people into where? Into Europe. So this theory and the time frame that we're going from, this is BC time that I'm referencing, into a later migration that happened after the fall, 197 AD, of Rome by two generals by the name of Septimius Severus and General Niger, who end up warring with each other. Septimius Severus ended up winning that war, right? The original aristocrats of Rome, right, were then pushed into a region near the Black Sea. Now, the Black Sea, where is this located at? This is why chronography is important, right? So you cannot tell me about France and Italy when 4,000 miles away from there is the Black Sea, which is north of what we call Iraq today, right? Northeast of what we call Iran today. So when you get into the 7th century and you're looking at the original inhabitants of the Caucasus, right? When you look at the original inhabitants of the Caucasus, these were melanated people. My source on that, which is the #1 source in history, all right, is by a man by the name of Ibn Fetterman, who Arthur Koestler, who wrote the 13th Tribe, got his information from, first and foremost. He came across that information and he wrote his book. All right? So all this stuff about Arthur Koestler has been debunked. Yeah, they killed Arthur Koestler and his wife for writing that book. And then Jewish so-called scholars are the ones that he's talking about debunk them, of course, because he's telling the truth about their origins. So when you look at what happened in the region, there was a war that was spearheaded by a man by the name of Attila the Hun. Attila the Hun infiltrated and overthrew the original inhabitants of Khazarian with the help of these Romans that got pushed into the Caucasus Mountains by Septimius Severus and General Niger, which later another Caesar rose up by the name of Diocletius. Now we're talking about 200 AD, 225 AD, which later then rose Constantine, which after the work of Septimius Severus, General Niger, and Diocletius, created a wall called Constantine's Wall to keep these people outside of Europe. Pushed them into the Caucasus Mountains. Those Romans, right, became second-class citizens. They became known as the Khazars. The Khazars was different from the Khazarians because not only different in culture and language and ethnicity, but different in appearance. According to Ibn Fetterman, the original people were melanated. They were a people of color. And the Khazars were known as they were white second-class citizens. Attila the Hun came in, struck a deal up with the second-class citizens to rise up, gave them, weaponized them. This is what they do. Weaponized them. They overthrew the original Khazarians. And now the end result, by the 720 AD, the end result was these white Khazars ruling in Khazaria. They then started to call themselves Khazarian. They stayed on the world stage from the 7th century to the 10th century. They stayed there, and there were certain Jews that migrated in there, but not only them, but there were Muslims that migrated there as well, right? And so-called Christians that migrated there, right? So the Khazarians end up splitting, because you asked, well, I'm trying to figure out how did they, how much, Yoshi asked, what was the percentage of the people that converted? Well, the Khazarians themselves split into 3 fashions. One group became Muslim, another group became Christian, and another group became converted to Judaism, right? Now, these groups got exiled by Genghis Khan in the 10th century. So we had Attila the Hun who empowered them. We had Genghis Khan who destroyed them, right? The group that was under that transitioned to converted to Judaism moved to Poland and became known as modern European Jews. These are the same people that came out of Khazaria that are in Jerusalem today, claiming to be Jews. These are converts. That's why they call themselves
how
Jews.
they get to
don't
Poland?
say,
Normal, chill. We're gonna get to
ask some questions. He's been
Normal, hold on, Normal. Let him finish, Normal. You can't get off mic. You can't get off mic. There's an order here. There's a cue. You can't get off mic. I got you. I'll get to you in a second. I got you. We got Gadal after him, then Anubis, and then you could go. Oh, I'm sorry. I got Glock up there too and Huckle. They ain't speak yet. So we gonna get to you in a second if you have the patience. All right, I got you, Normal.
Yeah, I'm gonna wrap it up by saying, because I got more history and more information on this, man. This is not a fly-by-night situation. I got the source to substantiate my position, right?
Can I ask you one question before you go?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe that Judah, Levi, and Benjamin were in a part of the 70 AD exile and that they ended up in West Africa and came over on the transatlantic slave trade?
I'm not going to let you do that, Garfield. I'm not going.
No, I just want to know, do you believe that?
Garfield, I'm not going to let you do that. We are in Europe. We don't stay in Europe, okay?
No, you can answer that when you're done. Before you're done. Hold on.
You think we comfortable, man. We don't stay in Europe for right now, if you don't mind.
But we're talking about lost tribes. I wanted to ask you that when you're done explaining what you're explaining about Europe,
yeah,
can you break that down for us? That's all. If you don't have the time, that's fine.
Yeah. All right. So again, when you're looking at these European Jews, right? The reason that this code word, which classifies them as Jews, is evidence that they are converts. They don't specify and say, oh, well, we're from the tribe of Simeon, we're from the tribe of Levi, we're from the tribe of Reuben. They don't do that. And it's the reason that they don't do that, because they are converts, right? So now, what happens to the rest of the
tribes are lost?
Let me say this. Sure. The rest of the people converted into Christianity, and another group converted into Islam. The Islam conversion is where the Ottoman Turk Empire comes from. These people, right, was spearheaded by the Bulgar family. How you don't know this history, man? Right? Bulgar family, right? So this is where you get the Saudis and all of this. This is the family line. This is how they get their wealth, man. It goes back to the Bulgar family when you're dealing with the original Ottoman Turks, right? These are Khazarians. These are Romans. These are Edomites. Are you?
All right, let's get Keith. Did you want to say something, Keith, real quick? Going once, going twice. Sir Vic, you want to say something? You got 2 minutes, brother. Keith, you want to say something, brother? All right, Sir Vic, you up. I'm sorry, Keith, you want to say
Garfield,
something?
I'm just getting back to the car. I was out of the vehicle for a while. I don't know exactly where the conversation.
All different type of information every week. Let me speak. If you subscribe, we're going deep. Love talk, Sister E. God's work, Sister E. Charity, Sister E. Let's talk.